Hi, welcome to Losing Faith, Finding Spirit. Today I've been talking about red flags. Quick little quips about red flags in relationships and what to look for to avoid getting into toxic and emotionally abusive relationships in the future. Today's red flags I want to kind of touch on is argumentative or high conflict. So I'm putting these together because they kind of go hand in hand. Because high conflict personalities tend to be very argumentative. If you noticed in your relationship that the person that you're with seems to enjoy arguing, or maybe they don't enjoy it, but they do it a lot, and over little things like anything that you discuss, any disagreement, any difference of opinions could lead to an argument. That is a high conflict personality. Somebody who enjoys arguing, somebody who gets a rise out of getting people kind of upset, and it's like they like to play devil's advocate, and they want to have the differing opinion. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, it doesn't matter what they said in the past their opinion is, they're going to argue with you about it, and they're going to change to fit the argument. And they're going to say all kinds of stuff to make their argument seem, reasonable. Like they need to win the argument. People who need to win arguments are high conflict. Just generally not somebody you really want to spend a lot of time with because it's very draining. I can tell you from experience, being in a relationship with somebody who likes to argue all of the time is exhausting. It's exhausting because you never win. Nobody wins. For the sake of just maintaining peace, you kind of let things go. You just kind of like give up. You just kind of give in. You're just kind of like, whatever, this is the dumbest argument we've ever had. But the problem is that it doesn't stop there. It never stops. The arguments will never stop. If you get into these relationships and you notice that this person that you're seeing is very high conflict, they seem to enjoy conflict, they seem to create conflict wherever they go. And if they seem like they really get into arguments a lot, and they argue with you a lot, and they kind of, in my experience, very much in the early days, the arguments were not as obvious. The kind of play that my ex had was that he's just trying to understand. Like, all arguments start with, do you have a few minutes? I just have something real quick I want to talk about. I just don't understand why you think that way. And then it didn't matter. The end goal wasn't to understand. The end goal was never to understand. It was to argue and fight and get emotional and get angry and get ragey and start yelling and getting off the handle. That was the end goal, because my ex needed to self-regulate through fighting and arguing. And that's really what this comes down to. A lot of people who have these kinds of personalities, disorders, whatever have you, the abusive, toxic narcissist, they need to argue with you to get the emotions out of their bodies, because they don't have good self-regulation of their emotions. And the big emotions like fear and anger are really hard for them to control or to even admit. Maybe they're scared that they feel insecure, and like the point that you have, the confidence that you have, that scares them. They feel insecure because you're going to leave them, and they need to fight with you to keep you feeling small, to keep you feeling like they're smarter than you. They need to feel smarter than you. And they need to argue with you over everything. And whether it's like a straight fact, like, reticulated giraffes have tongues that are black because of the sun, they will argue that with you. They will argue it with you. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not telling you it's a fact. This is what science, like, I worked around giraffes. I know. Whatever it is, the end of a movie. I can't tell you how many movies I was stuck in the car afterwards arguing with this person, my ex, over the end of the movie. That doesn't make sense. I mean, one time we even got so far to, I had to get a whiteboard down and like draw the plot outline so that he could understand what happened. And like, that was exciting for me because I felt like I was giving information because plots and stuff like that are stuff that I enjoy. However, what it actually was a fight, like because he was arguing about it and because he didn't want to understand, he wanted to fight. So just heads up, if you're in a relationship and you start to notice that this person keeps picking fights with other people or jumps to arguing or is more of the like high conflict, like they like fighting, like they like getting that, playing devil's advocate. They like doing that and they tend to do it a lot. That's a red flag to be aware. If you notice any of the other red flags in this relationship, you need to maybe see the door, like say goodbye. Some people are just high conflict. There are other things like ADHD and other things that kind of make people more high conflict or make people more argumentative. But that's still not an excuse to be abusive. So if it starts to fall into name calling, if it starts to fall into them belittling you or devaluing what you said, if it starts to be like arguing for the sake of argument and not for any resolution, if you start to notice that your arguments don't end, this is a classic one with narcissists. The arguments don't have an ending. There's no like resolution. Or if you think you walked away thinking, okay, now we know what we're going to do in the future, we're going to do something different, and that person comes back to you and starts arguing again, and you're like, wait, we already made this decision, and they say, no, we didn't, we were just discussing, that's gaslighting, and you need to get out of that relationship right away. I'm telling you, it is for your sanity. Get out now. Because that happens so many times, and after so long and years of it, you literally start to question your reality, and then we fall into the self-blame and other things we've talked about on this channel. Thank you for listening. Please be aware of the red flags in your relationships and try your best to just end them if you can. And if you can't, then there are other ways to kind of handle it. There's gray rock, and there's some other interesting kind of things that you can do to kind of like minimize your impact with this person. That's the most important thing. The most important thing you can do in these relationships is minimize the impact that person has over your life, the hold that they have. Detangle your life from these people, because if you don't, you will get super tangled up in it, and it's really hard to leave. So I wish you well. Until next time, thanks. Bye.